Yay, Manolo! Cheering. Here. Fans. Fans.
Hi, good afternoon. I have a pretty long presentation, but I know we only have 20 minutes, so I'm going to speed read through it. I gave this title because of some articles that I was reading last month when I thought this was taking place. I showed up here on January 16th.
Kotler.
And I was like, where's the Yahoo thing?
No, it was before after.
So, at the time, I was heavily influenced by a couple of articles I was reading, and it was particularly the concept of online being a hive and everyone sort of buzzing around. And I thought that this would be a good approach to take for social media and the elections. The subtext is supposed to be why it matters, and I think it does matter, but not in the way we assume. Let's just start with what everyone is saying. As proved by the events we saw last year, Twitter, Facebook, social media is king. Bloggers feel threatened. There's sort of agonizing going on about how relevant the bloggers are and how micromedia and social media is the thing that matters, particularly in terms of breaking news, events taking place, sharing information, and in particular getting out information, facts, and opinions that might otherwise not get out there in a speedy and timely manner. I'm going to start with something from Smart. Now this is looted from a presentation they gave. We were in Cebu about late last year. So the information may be a few months off, but this is what they were presenting. Just to situate us in where people are and what people actually do with the social media that they use. So of course you start with the fact that we love it. We love being online. Increasingly more and more of us are doing it. When we are online, based on their statistics, we all want to engage each other socially in various means of social media. We're particularly climbing in Facebook and that sort of thing. In fact, there's even a kind of debate going on about the number of people joining Facebook and whether it's changing the kind of exclusivity and snob appeal that it used to have. There's the traditional dominance we all assume when it comes to Friendster. And of course, there's some who rely on Multiply. Now, this is an important thing, statistic that came out from the findings of Smart. And of course, they're studying this to figure out how to make money from everyone. And the idea is that we love hamming it up, sharing pictures. Now, this is not necessarily pictures of breaking events or things that are of great political significance, but basically just, everyone drunk and at parties and that sort of thing. But this is what we like to do. We also like to do video sharing increasingly because our handsets are increasingly capable of that. And we are more passive consumers of other people's contents than actual producers of it. This addresses the concerns of many bloggers I know, which is why aren't our numbers growing, particularly when it comes to politics and social issues. Our readership seems to be there, and it seems to be steady in some cases. It's events driven. When events are taking place, our readership spikes, but most people are just passive consumers and not actual creators of this content. Now, the title I came up with for this afternoon actually came from this article, which you can look up, which is a review of Jared Lanier's articles. And basically, we're going to compress this one and a later article. This was much more recent. In fact, this was a few days before I thought the event was taking place. I thought that they set a very good perspective for what's going on online for us. if you're to break down the thoughts of this guy, it's basically that he has been concerned by what he sees to be, in many ways, the negative aspects of our interacting online, whether it's in blogging or other form in social media. His original concern was that in the beginning you had what he called digital Maoism, which was these sweeping bands of people running riot and challenging authority, tearing everything down, while not actually building anything. The best example of this is the agonizing Filipino bloggers went over with the case of Bandy de la Cruz and the whole incident at Valley Golf. And he has, in turn, developed an idea that he calls cybernetic totalism. And it's a bit of a complicated argument, but basically it's just that there's this creation of this sort of ruthless mob that just enforces mob rule online, characterized by what he calls a culture of sadism, which is the increasing complaint, even here, of how unpleasant social networking can become when you're dealing with social issues or political issues. There is not an atmosphere of friendly, open debate, but rather precisely this culture of sadism that is taking place. If you take it, as I do, that this is sort of characterizing the sort of toxic environment that has emerged, then it becomes increasingly so at the time of political polarization, which is an election when everyone basically has to choose sides. Let me propose also what I believe are themes and trends that are emerging as we look at how we interact with each other in terms of the news, our reaction to the news, our sharing opinions about the news, and other people in turn sharing their opinions on our opinions and our opinions on their opinions. I think instead of liberating people, this is actually strengthening the gatekeepers. Precisely if you look back to the findings of the marketing people of SMART, that in terms of blogging, for example, people tend to just read more instead of creating their own content, then those who are writers or those who naturally gravitate towards that actually get magnified in terms of their strength and influence, slowly, because most people are not inclined to compete. At the same time, because of the wild and woolly nature of the internet, and because there's really no way you can monitor everything going on, and where in many ways, if enough people get to believe the same thing, it doesn't matter what anyone, either with credibility or authority or experience or expertise says, it also weakens institutional gatekeepers, whether it's the government or the courts or COMELEC or anyone else who is tasked with certain authority and responsibility. It also, as we see, emphasizes niches, that in terms of what we read on Facebook, everything is increasingly filtered by someone else. It is not that all of us on Facebook are reading the news every day. It's that more and more of us on Facebook are depending on being linked or having a friend who reads. And therefore, we only read what that person decides not only to read, but decides to share. Only then, in many ways, do we get exposed to the news instead of ourselves regularly being exposed and being discerning in that terms. And this affects mass media, which by its very name, mass media, assumes a mass audience, a mass electorate, an involved citizenry. If everyone is breaking up into niches, and each of these niches in turn is dependent on individuals, then the mass media itself can no longer assume that